Hi there, welcome to Island Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Virgo energy. And we're going to get out the cards, see what the story is. And then we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because people are kind of at different emotional maturity levels in their Virgo energy. High vibe Virgos about doing the inner work to heal and grow and mature yourself, learn lessons in life. But to learn lessons in life, you have to be willing to see the truth. And you have to temper your ego nature, and some people could have a harder time with that than others. And some people, a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy could be just that we could be at different stages of life. A Virgo can talk about investing in your long-term plans. So some people could be working on their Virgo's earth sign energy about the world and kind of stability and security. Some people could be putting more emphasis into those things at this time, where other people might be more in a Virgo energy of more truth and love motivated. And, we all have different kind of priorities at different times in our life. But some people could always be more about the world or things they want to indulge in, or more caught up in the world. The things of the world are the most important thing. They might not invest much in themselves, in their more emotionally intuitive, loving nature, because they could think that's less important. And it is more about them, things they indulge in. Money or status or ego or image is a driving factor in their life. So, and if people aren't ready to see the truth, we'll keep repeating certain patterns in our life, because in order to authentically move forward in life, we kind of have to learn the lesson that we were meant to learn at a previous phase of life. Otherwise, eventually the truth comes out that we haven't learned some of those lessons, and we haven't grown or healed or tempered our ego in some way. And we can all be looking for people who we kind of think are on the same page as we are at any given moment in our life. So what's going on in Virgo energy? We have the Magician, and the reason that came out is because of the Six of Swords. So the Six of Swords is Aquarius energy. It can talk about our dreams. And Gemini, or the Magician, is Gemini, about our dualistic nature, and Virgo energy, about kind of our long-term plans. So we all kind of want to manifest, is what the Magician talks about, the dreams that we have based on our truth. Looking to find people who are more on the same page as us. The bad thing is for people who might be more about themselves or the world, it can be to try to manipulate anyone if it looks good for them at the moment. Get in a relationship with a loving person, because that creates the illusion that they're a loving person, but they really might not be a loving person. Or get in a relationship with someone because they look like a shining star in the world, or seem more stable or grounded, and then they want to look more stable and grounded, or because those people have those traits and characteristics, they in turn are trying to manipulate them for just how it benefits them. That shadowy energy is that the truth is they're kind of just more about themselves and how it benefits them, and it's just to create an illusion with anyone they're in a relationship with. High vibe people are who they say they are. They have a dream of being in relationships with people who are motivated and inspired to look at life from a higher perspective, have some hope and faith and belief in themselves and in others, and in love. Willing to see the truth, where we need to grow and heal and mature ourselves. And, that's kind of the difference of what's going on right now. So then we have the Hierophant, the Knight of Cups, the Nine of Pentacles, and the Queen of Cups. And the reason that came out is because of the King of Wands and the Eight of Wands. So the difference between the one wand of the King and the Eight of Wands is the Seven of Wands, which can be that in the Six of Wands, it can talk about, I have this dream. I want to manifest moving forward in my life and look like I'm moving forward in my life in a way that seems victorious and successful. In high vibe, it would be aligned with being inspired by truth and love again. Wanting to move forward, being authentic, motivated and inspired to take the lessons you've learned. The Hermit is Virgo energy. To take the lessons that you've learned from past life experience, to invest in the Knight of Cups is Pisces energy, kind of like Aquarius. It can be about our dreams, but high vibe people are more motivated and inspired by being inspired by love. And Pisces is emotional water sign energy. And in between here, I talked about, what we view as victorious and successful. Again, some people are motivated and inspired to learn lessons in life, to move forward in a balanced way, because that's high vibe energy, but more inspired to, in Pisces, listen to love and intuition to guide you. And Virgo and Pisces are on opposite sides of the zodiac wheel. And if we're inspired to get balanced within ourselves, we take those lessons we've learned to not be just more about ourselves and are more about me or indulgent nature or having these illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. In the Nine of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy, there can be a part of us that would kind of like to repeat some old patterns. King of Wands is Aries energy, which is about the self. No, let's hide from the truth. Let's indulge ourselves. Let's go repeat some old patterns. I don't want to see the truth. I want to live maybe more from my mind than my heart. Isn't that the idea of the dream life? And some people are like, I've already been there and done that. And I've learned lessons from that life experience. And I don't want to repeat those old patterns. So in high vibe Virgo of the Nine of Pentacles, it's like, I'm not going to indulge myself in repeating some poor past patterns. I've already learned that there's things about that I didn't like. And there might be things I might invest in or people I might invest in. But if they're kind of more about themselves and they want to keep repeating those old patterns, and I'm ready to become kind of independent of that way of viewing life or living life. In the Queen of Cups, I'm going to keep investing more, being inspired to listen to my intuition and love to guide me. And the Queen of Cups being, I view it as Scorpio energy. And a queen would be more mature than a knight, whether these people are male or female. The feminine figures can talk about how we think and feel. The masculine figures can talk about how we're presenting ourselves in the world and our more worldly egoic nature. High vibe people want to be in more deep, meaningful relationships. They've probably already been in relationships with people who they could have felt were more about themselves, more about the world, more about ego and image, or are manipulative. And they don't want to be in relationships with people like that anymore. And if they used to be more manipulated to live more from their mind than their heart, more caught up in these things of the world, we all can again have certain things that we kind of like to indulge in, but high vibe energy is like, it's one thing to indulge in certain things, but high vibe energy is in balance. I have a dream I'm trying to manifest. So if I overindulge myself and hide from the truth, it's going to keep me like repeating an old pattern, and I'm not kind of moving forward. And if my dream is to move forward, and the Eight of Wands can be about keep moving forward, I have to quit repeating old patterns. And I need to see the truth that some of the things I could kind of indulge myself in, if I do it to a certain degree, it's going to keep me kind of repeating that pattern. So it's seeing the truth, maybe about how I need to get more balance within myself and see what things I might need to become independent of, or people, or ways of thinking, or emotions that I sit in, or whatever. I need to deal with the truth. And the truth is being inspired to look at life from a higher perspective. That's like high vibe Aquarius. Don't get more caught up in my head. Keep investing in maintaining balance, loving myself, believing in myself, seeing what I need to become more independent of, and keep being inspired by my dreams and my long-term goals in Virgo energy, and keep letting love and intuition and truth and things like that guide the decisions I make. And then we have the Four of Wands, and the reason that came out is because of the Five of Cups. You know, to move forward with other people in the Eight of Wands, we need to be in a relationship with other people who are in the Four of Wands. And we have two Four of Wands people moving forward. People who have maybe offered love to some ways of viewing life, living life in the past. And the Ace of Wands, which the King of Wands is holding, is kind of like, I've completed a cycle. I've been there, I've done that. You know, I kind of learned the lessons I was meant to learn. I could have been indulging more, being more manipulated by the world or other people, or indulging myself, been in relationships with people who are like that. I'm ready to move forward from that phase of life to move forward. And again, it could be seeing some people that, and the wands can talk about communication, you know, communicating our truth to people in our life, that I'm becoming independent of some old ways of thinking or feeling or viewing myself or viewing the world. I am inspired to get out of my ego, because in between these two is the Seven of Wands, which is Leo energy. We're either kind of indulging our more worldly egoic nature or immature nature, or being manipulated or more caught up in the world or something, or we get out of our ego and we become independent of our more egoic nature or codependent nature or whatever it is, to emotionally grow and mature ourselves. And love ourselves, with Aries being about the self. We could have previously been more codependent on other people to love us and looking to other people or things to make us feel better. And it's kind of realizing I need to be inspired within myself to love myself and give myself the things that I wish other people would give me. Otherwise, I could keep staying in a more emotionally immature nature, where again, I look to other people to invest in me, to make me feel maybe more stable and more grounded, validate my worth and value. And I view High Vibe Virgo as learning to love yourself and invest in yourself, to see how your kind of more immature nature or worldly nature, codependent, fearful, whatever, can manipulate you. And I'm going to become independent because I don't want to repeat those patterns. Learn to love myself. And the Four of Wands is also Aries energy, which is about the self. And by being inspired to do that, part of that and part of Virgo energy is doing this work within ourselves to kind of look at those things that we maybe didn't even know we needed to kind of look at, because we didn't know how certain ways of living life or viewing life or feeling about ourselves or whatever could have made us repeat certain patterns. And then when we kind of get inspired within ourselves, we do this work within ourselves to see about these different things within us, our past pain and heartbreak, our fears, our insecurities, other people in our life, the world at large, how all those things kind of manipulate us. And being more in high vibe energy is, I don't want those things to manipulate me the way they used to. And I'm wanting to look at what are those things that manipulate me? Why am I not moving forward? I can offer love and encouragement to other people in my life. But if those people aren't inspired within themselves to do some of this inner work, two, in the Five of Cups, can talk about working through some of these regrets of our past, where we can be more focused on the relationships in our life that didn't work out, where people didn't work together with us cooperatively from love, or weren't just or fair, or were shadowy in some way. You know, I'm going to do this work within myself to love myself, to deal with the truth that everybody is where they're at, and everybody has their idea of the dream life and their idea of what they kind of think is just and fair and all of that. And our truth could be different. What I'm motivated and inspired by, and what I view as my long term goals, and my idea of what inspires me. And the truth is, some of the people in our life, they don't want to do love. They would have to emotionally grow and mature themselves. They would have to become independent of maybe being more about themselves, more caught up in the world, being more about themselves, uh, being the center of attention, or more about looking like a shining star in the world, and being more manipulated by their mind. They'd have to do some of this work within themselves to work through some of their past pain, heartbreaks, or why they let the things that manipulate them. And we can't make other people do that work within themselves. You kind of have to be inspired within yourself to even be inspired to want to see the truth. And some shadowy energy can be where people are like, I don't want to see the truth. I don't maybe want to do love. I get hurt doing love. If I were to do love, then I can't make it more about me or more just about these things of the world. I would have to see the truth. To do love with other people is to treat other people the way you like to be treated. And if it's going to be a romantic relationship, it should be because of love. And if there's people in the world, shadowy Knight of Cups can be, I want to hide the truth. I don't want to see the truth. I just kind of more want to indulge myself in a relationship. I'm kind of a little bit more about me. I am not inspired within myself to get out of my more defensive nature or egoic nature or self-centered nature or more about me or these things of the world. If they're happy more living in their more shadowy Leo and shadowy Virgo, worldly nature, and that's their truth, that's their truth. And then sometimes we just have to accept the truth of it. And we kind of realize that our dream can't come into reality with them, because kind of what drives and motivates them isn't to deal with the truth, isn't to temper their ego, isn't to quit being more about themselves or wanting to kind of, in whatever it is they make their life about, that they think will make them happy, but it isn't doing this inner work to see the truth of things that manipulate them. And it isn't maybe about becoming independent of their more worldly view of life or self view of life. And the Eight of Wands in Sagittarius is about higher learning and education. Some people aren't inspired to kind of wrap their brain around this game of life to see the truth about different things that manipulate them. And so they keep repeating an old pattern because they might not want to see the truth. If they are more manipulative, they might not want to acknowledge that truth to themselves. If they're just more about themselves, they don't want to see the truth of that. If they have things or people in their life or their world or the ego or things they indulge in manipulate them, they don't want to see the truth of it. And we can't make other people. You can offer people truth and love and encouragement, but if they're not inspired within themselves, and the fives can talk about change, you could have worked through some of your past pain, heartbreak, self-limiting beliefs, learned lessons from these past experiences. Yeah, I didn't like that. No, that was a bad decision. You were willing to deal with the truth to see what you needed to kind of distance yourself from habits, ways of living life, whatever. And you were inspired to learn to love yourself to get out of more codependent or self-indulgent ways of living life. You changed. And some other people have no interest in doing that. Some people like to be sad. Some people like to try to manipulate people to get other people to be loving and encouraging people to them, but they don't ever plan to change. But that could be their idea of the dream life. I want someone who's motivated and inspired to be more independent of their shadow nature, who are loving, to be in a relationship with me. But that's not the truth of who I am. But I have someone who loves me, who's willing to keep being loving and encouraging to me, and maybe keep moving forward with me in a relationship, maybe marriage, where when a card is in reverse, it can mean extremes. Some people, it's kind of hard. The fives are tough because the Four of Cups can mean that in high vibe, it would be that you took that cup of love to work through these regrets of the past. And then you get to the Six of Cups and you're more emotionally balanced and you've reconciled yourself with some issues from your past. But the Five of Cups on its own, again, that can be what people are looking for. I don't want to do the work within myself to love and believe in myself. I want to get in relationships with people who are loving and encouraging. You play that role in my life. How about you be motivated and inspired in yourself to not be in regrets about the past? And how about I be in a friendship or relationship with you and I am very much in regret about issues from the past and maybe even a little bit of the poor, poor, pitiful me. Well, that's kind of a more mismatched way of viewing life, and one person did work an effort to work through it, and the other person is like, well, no, I don't want to do that work and effort. How about I just be in a friendship or relationship with you? That'd be great. You be you, I'll be me. And some people let go of some of those people in their life. Some other people are still in the process, because we can have a hard time kind of distancing ourselves and becoming independent of some people in our life because we can love them, whether it's your adult child, brother, sister, mom, dad, long-term friend, romantic interest. And we could have a hard time wanting to see the truth that some people in our life might be a little more manipulative or, kind of use the love that we have for them to kind of manipulate us, manipulate your more loving nature. Some people have already gotten out of those relationships. Some people keep thinking, no, 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 I'm sure they'll change. But the people never change. And then we have the Queen of Wands and the Eight of Wands. And the reason that came out is because of the truth. The Queen of Wands, what is the Queen of Wands? The Queen of Wands is Leo. I view it as Leo energy. Some people are going to keep being inspired, to keep moving forward, because they could have this idea, like we all can, that some of these people in their life will change. And from the Five of Cups to the Seven of Cups is kind of like always hoping other people will free themselves of these things that manipulate them and kind of see through the illusion and be more inspired within themselves to move forward. But if they do, they do. But sometimes we get in those jobs, friendships, and relationships, because it could be a supervisor that we're wishing would kind of see the truth. Could be an employee that we wish would kind of see the truth. That people are being loving and encouraging in their life, and they would like them to move forward with them. But the other people are like, no, I'm just going to keep doing this. And, some people, the Seven of Cups, can kind of talk about kind of being in this illusion. And next to that is the Ten of Wands. Eventually, it can kind of become overwhelming because if it's not a more balanced relationship, and that's a just and fair and balanced relationship, one person could keep putting in the work and effort to try to move things forward in a more just and fair way, kind of because they don't want to see the truth, and they keep moving forward, and they could kind of keep defending the illusion, and they might stay in some friendships or relationships or jobs because by worldly standards it could look kind of victorious and successful, and then that can be a little bit of being in their ego, but they might not want to see the truth that it's more because they're defensive of closing out that cycle and kind of moving on from that friendship, job, or relationship. In the star card again of Aquarius, that if they want their dreams to come into reality in the Five of Swords, which is also Aquarius energy, so kind of a lot of Aquarius energy going on here, we kind of have to have the same dream. We have to have the same truth. And again, we can get in some more mismatched relationships, but people could be defensive of leaving the job, the friendship, or the relationship because they maybe have to... Actually, I don't know what I said this was. I might have said the Eight of Wands, but it's actually the Seven of Wands. And that's kind of the difference between here, again, between the 1 and the 8 is the 7. We can move forward in things, and the Seven of Wands can talk about, I'm moving forward in a certain way, and I want this dream to come into reality. I'm motivated and inspired to maybe put in the work and effort, being loving and encouraging to myself and other people, because I want things to work out, the way I'd like them to work out. And we're defending that. The Seven of Wands can be about defending something that we view as victorious and successful. But from the Eight of Wands, kind of down to the Seven of Wands, it's kind of like this represents the one wand. And again, we can't make other people be motivated and inspired within themselves to stand up for themselves, love themselves, and deal with some truths of some things they might need to deal with. And that's when some people kind of accept the truth that I am motivated and inspired within myself to love and believe in myself, work through some of my fears and my insecurities and my self-limiting beliefs and my past pain and heartbreak, and keep things in perspective and look at life from a higher perspective. But if I'm working with other people who that's not their truth, and they harness this energy in a more shadowy way, a more shadowy Leo, shadowy Sagittarius, and in all three of their air sign energies of their Libra, their Aquarius, and their Gemini. Gemini is about their dualistic nature, and in their dualistic nature, they could be more about themselves or these things of the world, their self-protective nature, their egoic nature, and our more worldly egoic nature can be a wide range of things, prideful, lazy, want to be indulged, full of themselves, manipulative, or whatever, right? And in their Libra, that can be what they think is just and fair. And Aquarius is this idea of the dream life. And when we're in more mismatched relationships and other people are like, no, I'm kind of more about me or these things of the world or me being indulged. And the other people are like, well, you might think that's just and fair, but what I think is just and fair is for us both to put in this work and effort to get out of our more egoic nature and kind of thinking it should be more about us or being indulged or making it more about these other things. And again, high vibe energy is about, do I want some of these things of the world just like everybody else? Yeah, but I'm not going to give up my dreams of having a more balanced life, having these things of the world, but equally inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness. That would be like high vibe air sign energy of Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. And sometimes we're in more mismatched relationships, and some people see that truth, that what inspires us and why we want to be in friendship and relationship Again, some people, it's like, I want to be indulged in a relationship. I am more caught up in this illusion, and I have mental conflict about looking at life from a higher perspective and maybe growing and maturing myself. And that's when some other people are like, I can't keep staying in a relationship and kind of defending the illusion that it's something that it's not. And even though I have mental conflict about it, my dream isn't going to come into reality here because I'm more caught up in the illusion, not wanting to see the truth. Maybe not wanting to leave some people behind. But the whole thing is, if you communicate your truth and love to people and they want to keep repeating these old patterns, it like keeps you stuck. If you keep thinking, no, we can be, high vibe energy is being a good leader in the world. Maybe some people, again, harness a more worldly, shadowy Virgo and Aquarius energy. You harness a more high vibe Aquarius and Virgo energy. And it's like, I have a dream I'm trying to manifest. If this is not your truth and you want to keep repeating some of these old patterns, hey, I've been there, I've done it. We all kind of are ready to become independent of certain ways of living life or viewing life at different times. So it's like, you go do that. Enjoy yourself. And I might not spend as much time with you as I may be used to. Can I still be a loving and encouraging person in your life? Yeah, but I might not kind of, I'm more interested in working with the people who are inspired by the same things I'm inspired by. And that's where the Ten of Wands can be. I am standing up for my dreams. And my dream is to be in relationships with people who are more balanced, because the sixes talk about balance, to work together and manifest, and that's like Gemini and Virgo, motivated and inspired by truth and love. And part of working together with people in a balanced way to bring a dream into reality is everybody needs to do this work within themselves. Quit indulging their more immature nature or being more about themselves. Become independent of that kind of way of living life and be inspired to love yourself, to work through those regrets of the past so that we can look to the future and really have something worth standing up and defending. But some of the other people are like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to come with, though. Let me come with. And you be like in high vibe energy, and I'll create the illusion that's the truth of who I am too. But the way they interact in the relationship, it's just like when we were 18, 21, 25, every time we were at those different age groups, there was the whole spectrum of different people in that age group. And some people were more tempered, balanced, just, fair, loving. Other people weren't, And we're kind of trying to find the people who kind of seem to be on the same page as us. And regardless of who some of the people in a workplace or a neighborhood or a friendship group might be, we're kind of going to invest more of our time, energy, and effort into the people who are more aligned with our truth. Can we have love for other people? Yeah, but the things that you want to go do and kind of where we're at and kind of what you like to go do and what you want to, in Virgo energy, what you want to invest your time and energy into, and your idea of the dream life and what you kind of think is just and fair is kind of different than what I think. So can I still love you and be loving and encouraging? Yeah, but if you feel people never want to, they just have that way of living life. Just like anybody we meet in our life. You want to go do that? That's what you enjoy. Hey, go live your life. Enjoy. But I'm probably if I've kind of not at that stage of life anymore and I'm ready and I have worked through some of these issues that at one time was the way I lived life or viewed life and behaved, I'm ready to move forward differently. And, kind of getting out of the Five of Cups and to the Seven of Cups is kind of aligning in the Two of Cups, which is Cancer energy, which is about love of self, love of others. I can love other people and wish them peace and love. Do I want to hang out with them? It's just like anybody you know. You have the people you kind of more hang out with, other people. Can you wish them peace and love and joy and life goes well for them? Yeah. Do you want to hang out with them more? No. Do some of those people, some of them don't want to hang out with you more either, because you live your life differently. What you want to invest your time, energy, and effort into is different. And for some of the people, it can be difficult because, we kind of have to get out of our ego. And that's how I think sometimes shadowy people can try to manipulate people. They know that shadowy people, or they know high vibe people put a lot of work and effort, that's like high vibe Virgo, to make things just and fair. And they're motivated to put in work and effort to try to make things just and fair and loving and encouraging. And then it's trying to kind of create the illusion like they're that type of person. But as time goes by, you realize that's not their truth. And then you kind of see through the illusion. And it's kind of like, I think you're more driven and motivated by this. I'm more driven and motivated by this. And just the way we view life and our truth is kind of different. And some people, they always get to the 10 of Wands, but there's a maximum of 10 in every suit. So we could get to the 10 of Wands, and that opportunity is there for us to change. But we have to be inspired within ourselves to not keep repeating old patterns, to see the truth of some things we need to let go of and quit investing in, to move forward in life, to go to the next phase of life. Every stage of our life, we had these dreams, like when we were 15, 18, 21, and 25. But that was a stage of life. And then we keep moving forward. But some people aren't inspired to keep moving forward. Like, I'm good. I don't want to keep growing and maturing myself. I don't want to keep working through my fears or insecurities. I don't want to temper my ego or be more about myself. I'm good. I want to stay here. Well, that's when we let them stay there, needless, because we can't change them anyway, and let them go on their journey in life. To maybe go hang out with some people who are kind of more on the same page as them. And learn some lessons in life that some other people have learned that they maybe haven't learned. And some of them just are more codependent, want to be in more codependent friendships and relationships, just looking for someone who'll keep indulging them. And when other people kind of feel, the Five of Cups can talk about feeling like you're emotionally manipulated in a relationship, that people aren't working with you cooperatively from love. And they're hoping that because some people love them, that those people basically won't love themselves enough to kind of stand up for themselves and their truth, and will kind of give up their dream to make their life more about indulging these people in a more immature way of being. And there's going to be some people in the world who aren't going to do it. I have offered truth and love and encouragement to people. I don't want to work with people who I feel are trying to manipulate me, use my loving nature to try to get me to keep indulging them. It might be their idea of the dream life, but it's not my idea of the dream life. And sometimes it can be, again, the Seven of Cups can be like creating this illusion. Isn't it most important to create this illusion about how wonderful our life is and how great we get along? And, you know, it could look victorious and successful in a lot of ways, but it's not really the truth. It's an illusion. But everybody's defensive of speaking their truth and standing up for themselves and not continuing to invest in the illusion. And there's always going to be some people, just like you can have a workplace where maybe somebody's kind of bossy and controlling. That can be like shadowy King of Wands and Queen of Wands. And management or whatever, and everybody kind of indulges someone for some reason because they're maybe codependent on them or not willing to stand up for themselves. Well, eventually more of the high vibe people are going to move on. I am not willing to keep defending this illusion. I have some mental conflict about it because I don't think it's just and fair. And I could think some people are being bossy and controlling or manipulative or stubborn or prideful or immature or whatever. I have a dream. And I am going to stand up for myself and my dream. If that's their truth, they can go do that with someone else. They can hire someone else. I'm going to look for a different job. I'm going to look for a different friend. I'm going to go invest in my dream. Because apparently my dream is different than their dream. Their idea of the dream life, dream workplace, dream friendship group. And some high vibe people are standing up for their dream. And they saw the truth. They saw through the illusion. If people are motivated and inspired within themselves to work together with people in a more just and fair way, they would. If they are more motivated and inspired to work cooperatively with people, they would. If they were more inspired to have more hope and faith and belief in themselves or in others or in love, they would. But for some people, that isn't their idea of the dream life. And then some of those people can kind of be in their ego that other people are standing up for themselves, that they do love and believe in themselves, and they're not going to keep indulging them like in poor behavior. Okay, so what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Virgo energy? Being loving and encouraging to people, but seeing the truth of who is willing to work together with them reciprocally in that way. Those will be people they're inspired to keep working with. They defend those people, and those people defend them. And who are the people in their life that want them maybe to keep defend them, but those people, and be in friendship and relationship with them, but those people keep repeating old patterns. It never changes. The Tower and the Knight of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy. Why? Because of the Four of Cups. High vibe people, you decided to take that cup of love, and you're dealing with some people who weren't accepting your cup of love, offering you love, or working with you together cooperatively in love. The Four of Cups is Cancer energy. And because you took that cup of love to love yourself and see the truth, Virgo energy also about the Pentacles and doing this inner work is about kind of truth and love. You saw the truth of some people's foundation. Their truth is different than your truth. They don't really want to do love. They want other people to love them, being more not aligned with love. The Tower can be, I want to be an unstable energy. I want to be immature, prideful, bossy, controlling, lazy, whatever it is. But I want you not to love yourself enough to see the truth and invest in your truth and move on. I don't want to move on differently. I don't want to see the truth. And out of love for yourself, it's like I can't keep staying in an unstable foundation where people aren't willing to invest in truth and love. So they can go do that with someone else. I'm moving on. So you're detaching from people in your life who you feel don't want to do truth and love. You have a dream. And if you think those people have some illusions about what it means to be in a friendship or relationship with people, don't treat people in a just and fair, loving way, then you're going to move on. And even if you're not a Virgo, when we get in relationships with people, you could be the one harnessing high vibe Virgo, high vibe Cancer. And let's see, the Tower card is Aries and Scorpio. And you could know some people who harness a more shadowy Aries, Scorpio, Cancer, and Virgo that try to maybe present themselves as more inspired by truth and love, but they're not. It's kind of more be in a friendship or relationship with me, move forward with me, and indulge me and make it more about me. And some people are like, I wish you peace. I'm no longer an illusion about the truth of who you are. And I'm going to go invest in my dreams and in my truth. And it can be shocking for you to make that decision, because the Tower can be kind of like the divine trying to get people to see the truth. Your truth isn't the same. Your long-term goals aren't the same. And it's kind of, maybe isn't going to be pretty for anyone when the Tower happens, because we've been resistant to wanting to see the truth. But eventually, and the Ten of Wands can talk about people feeling overwhelmed. If they're trying to move something forward and they kind of feel like they're the one putting in most of the work and effort to try to move it forward, it's having that, the Five or the Four of Wands can be this mental conflict. You want, and the Four of Wands is Libra energy, you want things to be more just and fair. But again, you can't make other people get more balanced, heal, grow, be more just and fair. And eventually, the fact that there could be some people in your life that could either want to be in friendship or relationship with you, or people that you had been offering to try to work things out with, that you're not willing to do that or take their cup of love anymore. Kind of, you've healed, you've worked through the regrets. And with some people in your life, I'm not interested in trying to heal a relationship with you anymore. And with some people, you saw the truth of them and they're shocked that you saw the truth, because they thought for sure you'd keep staying not willing to deal with the truth or see the truth, and you'd kind of keep indulging them. And it's like, no, I'm done. It could surprise you and it could surprise those people. And as you do that, the Tower can also be that it kind of could show, it could be shocking and surprising what people don't still want to see the truth, and they could be the next person who indulges some of these people. Or that, and again, we're all at different stages in life. Well, some people move forward and aren't willing to indulge. Some people in a friendship group, family dynamic, neighborhood, workplace. Other people are like, still have fear of maybe becoming independent of it, standing up for themselves, so those people could keep staying in it or indulging those people. Well, those people will have to make their own decision at some point in time, and maybe eventually some of those people will kind of see the truth and move on too. But everybody makes their decisions at different times in their life. What's coming up for some people might harness a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy that they might not see coming. And I think as the high vibe people move forward, making good decisions in their life, being inspired within themselves to become independent of things that manipulate them and their more worldly view of life, not wanting to be in relationships with people who try to maybe manipulate them, and listen to their intuition and stay focused on the big picture. The Tower can also be that you've completed a cycle, and part of a cycle that you could have went through was for you to kind of stand up for yourself and to believe in yourself. And, some people are very loving people, and other people try to take advantage of that. And it's like, you know, you could have a hard time because you are loving and you think everybody's motivated by love, and then people take advantage of that. And then it's kind of interesting too, the earth signs are on opposite sides of the zodiac wheel from the water signs, and maybe getting more balance between your more loving nature and your worldly nature. That I can love people in the world, but it has to be balanced. And if it's not balanced, I'm not going to keep investing in it. So you've detached from maybe being in relationships again where you felt unloved and felt like people were trying to manipulate you or control you. What's coming up? Oh, and you get to go have a new beginning. You kind of like learn the lesson you're meant to learn. You got out of your ego, maybe about thinking you could change people, and you accepted the truth. Everybody's where they're at. They're doing what they're doing. I'm not going to be in my ego about it anymore. Not going to be sad about it. My dream couldn't come into reality with them anyway, because our truth was different. And I've healed, and I'm ready to move forward to go find people in the world who are more on the same page as me. So what's coming up for the shadowy people they might not see coming? We have the Eight of Cups, the One Cup, the Ten of Wands, the Tower, the Hierophant, and the Four of Pentacles. And the reason is because of the Justice card. Shadowy people could be surprised when people, the Page of Cups can mean people who are very authentic or loving, and the page can represent in all three of their water sign energies of their emotional nature. In their Cancer, their Pisces, and their Scorpio, they have hope and faith and belief in love. They like love. They like to be loving. They like to be in deep, meaningful relationships. They can be very loving and encouraging to other people to try to bring justice to a situation. And they will put a lot of work and effort to try to move those things forward and kind of get people out of their more worldly nature of shadowy, Hierophant, and Four of Pentacles, which are both earth sign energies. Quit being more stubborn, more prideful, more about these things of the world, or a more worldly view of life, and to become more in the Eight of Cups, going to the Nine of Cups, to become more independent of those things and quit letting those things manipulate you, where you really can get the justice you deserve. But it requires you to kind of change a philosophy of life where you're fearful or afraid or kind of selfish or materialistic. The shadowy people think it's just and fair to indulge themselves emotionally. They're not inspired to kind of become a spiritual leader in the world, is what High Vibe Hierophant is, and to hold back from their more immature, self-indulgent nature to get more balanced within themselves. And they're hoping the loving people in their life won't harness these energies in a high vibe way either. That they'll think it's just and fair to keep being loving and encouraging to these people who want to be more about themselves or these things of the world, or indulged. And they could be shocked when some loving people in their life say, I'm not going to stay. Taurus Hierophant can represent a lot of things. It can represent family dynamics, friendship groups, workplaces, marriages, institutions, organizations, or just a more worldly view of and your view of life. They could be shocked that loving people are less manipulated by these things of the world that they want to stand up for their truth and justice and fairness. Because they don't. They could have detached from that a long time ago. High Vibe Taurus is walking the talk. Some of the shadowy people are like, no, other people can go do that. I don't want to go do that. I don't want to walk the talk. And in their Sagittarius, they're not inspired within themselves to change. Because if they weren't more inspired to be more about being indulged or manipulating people or more about the world and ego and image, they'd have to let go of a more shadowy worldly nature within themselves, because both Taurus and Capricorn, like Virgo, is earth sign energy, and they could have a much more worldly view of life. And it could be, I don't want to give of myself, I don't want to open up, I don't want to move forward in life differently, I want to keep doing life the way I've been doing it. And because of that, they're going to have more high vibe people in their life leave. And other people get out of job, friendships, and relationships for these same reasons. And then those people move forward in life, and they kind of end up meeting other people who are more on the same page as them. And they offer those people a cup of love to move forward with them. We're kind of more on the same page. And it could be shocking when some people who've been kind of not wanting to see the truth, not wanting to temper their ego, being more immature, more about themselves or more about these things of the world, could they present themselves and have a certain status and image in the world, look very just, fair, stable, victorious, or successful in some way in the world? Yeah. So yeah, they're going to get people who want to be in friendship and relationship with them. The problem is the more high vibe people over time see the truth that they're not who they say they are. That it's not love and truth and justice and fairness that drives and motivates them. It's more about them being in a relationship and kind of being emotionally indulged. Or making their life, being happy, making their life more just about these things of the world. You should get in a relationship and you should stay in the relationship because we both want to be in a friendship or relationship, right? And it looks good by worldly standards, right? Well, that's enough for me. We should stay in it. Well, that might be their truth. Other people really want to invest in truth and love. And the other people, that might not be the truth of who they are anyway. So, of course, they could want to keep staying in it. Because they don't, that's like shadowy Scorpio. Want to indulge emotionally in a relationship. That's like shadowy fire sign energy. But don't really want to do love. Don't want to come out from behind indulging themselves emotionally. No, that's scary. I'd get hurt. I'd have to kind of grow up and mature myself, temper my ego, temper my fears. No, let's just stay in the relationship and let me keep being emotionally immature. And other high vibe people in their life are going to move on. And maybe those people will get in relationships with people who are more on the same page as them. And that would be in the Four of Swords, which, like the Justice card, is Libra energy. That would be just and fair. If some people kind of have these illusions and are defensive to looking at life from a higher perspective, and they could like to make their life more about themselves or these things of the world instead of love, well, then they would just have a more worldly type of viewpoint in life. They could look like shining stars in the world, like they have what other people have. It's just, it may be we can all look at different people in our life, in friendships and relationships. It's just that some of them could just be more immature, more a shadowy relationship can be where one person kind of indulges another person in the relationship. That's a shadowy Taurus relationship. And other people want to be in more just and fair and balanced and authentic and loving relationships. Not more just for the status and the ego and the image or the fear or the insecurity or the codependency. But different strokes for different folks, depending on where they're at in their life, right? And I think kind of eventually, with the Tower card there, God is like trying to get people in more, I would say, appropriately matched relationships. Because we can get in more mismatched relationships where it's like puzzle pieces that don't quite fit. Could we have a lot in common? Could we be attracted to each other? Could we enjoy each other's company? But if our ultimate truth of what kind of drives and motivates us, of why we want to be in a relationship, why we want to stay in a relationship. The high vibe people want it to be because of truth and love. The other people, it could be other things, other reasons. And that's okay, so long as they get in relationships with other people who that's their truth. And it's kind of like the divine kind of shaking things up to try to get people to see the truth of some people in their life where it is more mismatched. Go find people who are more on the same page as you. And it's unjust and unfair if someone who knows they're more immature, more about themselves, want to be indulged, more materialistic as the driving factor, or status or image. Do not try to trap someone who harnesses more high vibe energy in a relationship with you. That is an injustice when you know those things don't manipulate them as much. They want just and fair and authentic and loving and deep, meaningful relationships. Go get a relationship with people who are more like you. But shadowy people sometimes don't want to be in relationships with other people like them. Well, if I'm bossy and controlling, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone else who's bossy and controlling. If I'm kind of prideful and stubborn, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone else who's prideful and stubborn. I want to be the more indulged person. But, they might have to be in a relationship with someone who, in their own way, might have some growing up and maturing to do. But if those people are willing to stay in a relationship with them, they might stay in it for different reasons. It might not be because of truth and love. It might be more fear, insecurity, ego, image, status, codependency. But that would be a just and fair relationship if they're both in that energy. High vibe people aren't willing to settle for the illusion. I don't want to be in a relationship and create the illusion my life is wonderful. I'm going to go invest in my truth. And I'm going to heal to go get the justice I deserve, which is not living a lie, basically. I'm going to go live my truth. And other people can live the illusion if they want. So there you go, Virgo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.